The Federal Reserve says many parts of the country were hit by supply chain disruptions and labor shortages last month. But in a new report, it says the economy continued to grow at a modest to moderate pace. Still, inflation has surged to a 3-decade high because the pandemic has continued to limit supplies at a time when the reopening of the economy has led to high demand. Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan joins us from this year's Milk Business Conference in Las Vegas. And Tyne, inflation is on the minds of many there.
Yeah, Clinton, inflation really has been on the minds of dairy producers all year between rising labor costs as well as input prices. It's curbing the growth of dairy. But the sentiment here at Farm Journal's Milk Business Conference is even with Powell's comments this week, inflation isn't going away anytime soon.
Well, we're going to be in this period for quite some time. Even after once we get through the holiday period where all these consumers are buying things and we got all these logistical problems, I don't think our problems end there. We've still got so many people who left the workforce. And that's going to be driving wage inflation, and that's going to be driving price inflation for quite some time. And that's a systemic problem. That is not transitory.
Well, I think the market's already been embracing that. Prior to Powell even coming out and saying, yeah, I think this might be here for a while, you had simple things like inflation indexes that were already trading at 3%. We didn't buy into the transitory argument, and I think as we talk about feed, it'll show its head there as well.
As inflation fuels higher food costs for consumers on the protein side, retail beef prices hit record highs this week.
As I look at the United States, the retail price of beef this week is at $7.70 a pound. Never been this high. Now we are heading into the, of course, holidays, but disposable income is so large in the United States that it is supporting this higher beef price, something we think that will continue for several years.
As domestic and export demand continues to be strong for protein, Bosse says drought in the West is causing cattle producers to liquidate, and there could be a deficit of cattle to slaughter. He says that could create an opportunity for dairy producers across the country to produce beef.
We believe by our modeling it's 900,000 to 1 million extra calves coming from the dairy industry to help build the feeder cattle supply in several years. And so the pressure is relatively big, and I think the cash market in bidding for those black calves from a dairy animal will stay relatively high.
And Clinton, even with those record retail prices, Bosse says there is no sign of rationing demand. Reporting from Farm Journal's Milk Business Conference here in Las Vegas, I'm Tyne Morgan.